County talk. It's finished Notts County 3, Aldershot 1. It was a bit of a rollercoaster that game because from the start we didn't look that good, did we, Luke?
Nah, the first half was Bob. Like, first 30 minutes, like obviously they went 1-0 up. First, we just couldn't do anything at all. I'm sure I was looking at it, it must have been about early 30th minute when we actually made an attempt on goal. And nothing was happening. But then Carl Roberts was just out of the blue, out of nothing. Well, to be fair, before that, Enzio put a nice ball through for Watson, who had a little dink and just went wide. But prior to that, there was nothing. Yeah. But it was nice for Roberts to do a bit of magic again this week, and a nice little finish for him to make it 1-1. But yeah, it was a roller coaster because second half we were so much better. It weren't brilliant by any stretch of the imagination, but to play not great and still come back with a 3-1 victory against teams who you got to say, if we can go away at Barrow and win 2-0, everyone's expectations are high that you got to be beating teams like Aldershot and Eastleigh on Saturday. If you want to be serious about trying to aim for that top 3 that we're aiming for to get into the automatic semis, or even if Barrow falter, which it's unlikely, but you never know. It could always be a late push. We could win every game towards the end of the season. So it's all to play for. Man. It's good.
Yeah, it's definitely all in our hands, isn't it? I think in sight to Barrow, obviously they've had Quigley sent off, who's their leading goal scorer. So he's got a 3-game ban now. So you've got to think they're about 10 points above us. We moved third now after today's game. If we keep pushing on and maybe that knocks them a little bit with losing Quigley, their leading goal scorer, stranger things have happened, haven't they?
They have. I don't know what kind of running they've got or anything like that. And I know Harrogate could have caught with them on Saturday, but they drew against, I can't remember who they played. But teams can falter. They've probably not. Well, they haven't been in this position for. Well, I know they were back in the league back in the 70s or whatever, or maybe before that. But they might struggle with the expectation because they've done so well. They might start to falter towards the end, and like you say, because they got rid of Quigley, who I didn't go. I know you guys went away on Saturday. I didn't go, but I can remember coming down on my birthday when we got beat 3-0 by Barrow, and Quigley was just a handful, and the whole team were a handful. Yeah. So, that puts us 10 points or so behind. So, like I said, because he's been a focal point for them, they might start to falter. But I think for us, if we just keep doing what we're doing at the minute, rotating the squad like Ardley is, I think he's getting his tactics spot on at the minute. In terms of using the squad and trying to extend the loans of Long and that Bagan. Yeah. I think he's doing well, and all we can do is just keep winning games, keep grinding out results. If we can get top 3, I think that's a really good season in comparison to where we were at the start when we didn't have a squad before a week before the season. So
I think today, going back to today though, in general there was a lot of positive performances. You look at, like we've already mentioned, Carl Roberts. Every time the ball comes to him, he just seems to have an injection of something positive, doesn't he? I think a bit of an unsung hero today as well. I think there was 2. McDonnell, because he tipped that shot onto the bar.
Yeah.
That was at 1-1 as well. That would have changed the game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That was really good, because I said to my dad, he was like, I think he said that, it's like, no, straight off the bar, and then we go to the other end, Carl Wotton hits the bar like literally straight from there.
Yeah.
And then a minute later, Dennis scores that beautiful goal. So yeah, it was one of those games where first half you could have gave everyone a 5, and then second half everyone sort of like it like 6/7. Yeah. 7's probably generous, but I thought, Roberts is just one of those players, man. He's just so. You give him the ball, he just drops his shoulder. You just feel like he's going to do something every time.
Yeah.
Sort of like what we think Enzio is going to do. Well, what we're still waiting for him to do, sort of. Do you know what I mean? Like, when he gets the ball, you just want him to run at people, but Roberts seems to just have that low sense of gravity.
Yeah.
And he just does really, and excites the fans when he gets on the ball. So
another unsung hero for me as well today was Lacey. I thought he was incredible today.
Yeah, Lacey's so good, man. He's so quality. When Ben Turner comes back, Ben Turner was pretty good before he got injured, to be fair. But with Rawlinson and Lacey playing the way they're playing, there's no way back in for him.
Yeah.
So, I think no one was spectacular. No one was awful. I'm not going to mention a certain number 4, but weren't great, but you know, it's just one of those games. But you don't play well and you still come away with 3 points with a 3-1 win. And to be fair, one thing we haven't mentioned is how they didn't score literally a minute into the second half, and it's a totally different game. But you know, 3-1 win, got to take it, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I think there is a lot of positives to take today. You look at the whole mind frame of the players has to change, because you're going in against obviously Barrow on Saturday, top of the league. You know, you've got to really put your fighting gloves on, and then you come to Aldershot. You know that I think they're 17th in the league before the game today. They're a lesser opponent. There was 7 changes in the squad. I think it's tough as a team to play like that. You know, when it's changing all the time. Obviously, it has to change because of the running, but I'm kind of just happy that it is working. If you know what I mean. Yeah. If that is the case, where we can play like we did for the first half, there's been 7 changes, the mentality's changed a little bit, and we can still win 3-1. We stand a good chance, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm happy for Ardley that it's working as well, because like you can literally, anyone will jump on any manager when they make so many, like, oh, that's why you don't change a winning team and all that. But the running we've got, if you're playing Saturday, Tuesday, you have to. Yeah. And I think he's managing the squad well. And you know, like say, going in tonight against a team who's 17th, like he put out, you know, he left Rawlinson, Doyle. Who else on the bench? Tom, like we're quite a strong bench tonight, and he's left out players who have been like the past few months been really strong. Probably like a couple of first names on the team sheet. And to be fair, it's really brave of him what he's done, and it's paid off. And I'm just hoping, like you say, going into Saturdays now against another team who are, you know, 16th, 17th in the league, that we can beat a team like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm happy for Dennis as well, because I ate my own words, because I said to my dad, like, if I had to bring someone off now other than Rose, I would have brought Dennis off, because it's, you know, he's a poacher but he's had nothing to go off, and then he scores 2, so what do I know.
And final point, I was going to talk about Dennis. I've never seen a player look so hungry for a hat-trick, but on the flip side of that, I think he's such a changed player. His work rate has improved incredibly over the season, I think. Off the ball, he's tracking back, he's running onto everything. I think there's a few players across the team you're looking at that, like Crawford. Do you think that's something that Ardley's doing?
Yeah, I think so. You know, given, you know, that hunger that everyone seems to be, like, even if people are left out, there doesn't seem to be any grumblings. You don't hear anything from behind the scenes nowadays, which is nice. You don't hear anything from the owners in a good way. You don't hear about any rifts in the squad, and everything seems to be going really well. So I'd put it down to, you know, Ardley gets flack from certain supporters, but you know, I'm glad he's there, and I think he's doing really well for us, and it's rubbing off on the team. Yeah. And performances of late show that and suggest that. So long may it continue.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning as well, some great goals tonight, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean,
especially Dennis's.
Yeah,
first goal.
Yeah, Dennis' first. Well, and his second goal was great. Had a nice little build up from a throw in, good ball in from Kelly Evans, and like say Robert's goal earlier was really nice. So you know, keep it up, man.
Luke, thanks for joining us.
Coronavirus.
Cheers, Luke. Thank you.
Mate.